That, of course, being the topic of discussion for the evening, let's cut right to the chase here. I've worked for two subcontractors who have buried Fios for Verizon. I have also had personal experience in this. Mine and my wife's company, which we tried to run, doing the same thing, burying Fios for Verizon. A couple of the problems with that is anybody who's considering a line of work or career in Verizon should definitely think at least 3 times, not even twice, definitely 3, especially after what you're about to hear. Pay attention. I am kind of a boring guy, but you'll get over that. The workings of the Verizon contract. First off, you, a subcontractor, or myself, would have no direct contact with Verizon whatsoever. You deal with a company called a prime contractor, who is a big multi-million-dollar company, Moztec, Donella, WTW, Spam Pro Services, Rocky Mountain Fiber Plus, and InfoSource. If you're not worth a couple of million, you don't even bother to try and contact Verizon directly in reference to getting Fios work. It's not going to happen. You will get a contract from a prime contractor, that states you, the subcontractor, are responsible for work 100% of the time. What is neglected in that contract is the fact that Verizon has no guarantee on how much work they're going to provide you during your contracted time. Because of this, they make it very hard on subcontractors to get their work done and to have enough money to operate. I myself have gone through many a day where I don't even have money for lunch, much less gas to put in the truck, and I've already worked for Verizon for a year at that point. Let me tell you a little more. Most of the prime contractors make you work for 30 days. Some aren't, some do. Most of the big ones, Moztec, they make you work for 30 days without operation, or without invoicing or money for your operations. During this time, though, you are mandated to pay your employees through state law, as well as your taxes and everything else, with or without their money that you earned. On top of that, they retain at 10% until they get to a $10,000 margin, in which case you may think, oh, well, if I leave, I get $10,000 back. That's not true. The prime contractor, in an effort to make money, will squeeze every nickel and dime for every complaint, for every person who sneezes funny in their direction and mentions your company name. They're going to charge you for it. I mean, my retainer was $7,300. I got back about $5,100. The treatment of their subcontractors is utter bullcrap. There's no other way to really put it. I mean, I was given my own work, and when I completed the work, because it wasn't enough, I would call up and ask for more. I would get work that another company had called in to the state to notify them of the digging, and they would say, well, here's the work. Well, the problem with that is, if that's not your company name and your company ticket registered with the state, and you hit gas, water, electric, or so much as cut a Comcast line, then your own personal $5 million insurance policy isn't going to cover squat, because you were working on an illegal dig. And the answer you get for that is, well, if you want the work, here it is. Get it done. The problem with that is, again, is 125% illegal. There should be no way you should be forced to dig under somebody else's ticket in any state. Moving on, the rate cuts. Every 6 months, but definitely once a year, Verizon will cut their rates. Now, some prime contractors will, take a rate cut gently, take a little bit of that rate cut under their own belt, and then they pass the rest of that rate cut directly to you. Let me give you an example. 2006, 0 to 100 feet, $250. The last contract I had in 2008 was for $105 for that very same job. That's a 2-year spread, cut more than 50%. Every 6 months, there's a threat of rate reduction, but every year guaranteed when Verizon renegotiates with their little linemen's union, of course, they get all the money, and it comes from squeezing the subcontractors out. That's pretty much it. Your prime contractors try to do their job, and they try to do it nice. There are real people in office. They have to make a living, and they do have bosses. So you can't rightfully hold every little thing, every little wrongdoing against them. But, then you start to hear things about MasTec in specific, how they violate pretty much every labor law they can get away with in states like Florida. And that's a whole nother matter. And then, on top of that, you have Verizon, who lobbies against Congress and the Senate and everything else, that, to give them the choice what neighborhoods they put their service in. At that point, that's really turning the screws on the subcontractor, because now it's not a statewide commitment. I've only worked in Bucks County and Chester County, 2 counties. I've been doing Fios for 3-4 years now, and in 2 counties, that's all the work I've done. And it's not every neighborhood. I've gone from one neighborhood to another neighborhood to do 2 different jobs, and in between there is no service available. So quite literally, Verizon gets away with murder, and the subcontractors catch the beating. If you were thinking of any line of work with Verizon as a subcontractor, I would highly suggest you think 3 times. I'm sorry, I'm kind of speechless. It's unbelievable, because me and my wife decided to, again, try our own. Go at it, head first, give it our all, and maybe we could have the American dream, owning your own company, owning your own home, raising your kids right, and being able to pay your bills and afford your mortgage. Not going to happen. So stay away from Verizon as much as humanly possible. If you can, as a matter of fact, you should even get Comcast high-speed internet. There's just so much wrong with the system and the way it works that it leaves a lot of people broke. Me, my wife, who owns the company, I'm just an employee, have put our all into it. All of our personal assets, our personal credit line. We have things for the company that were financed that are attached to our own personal Social Security numbers. And of course, now our own personal credit is paying the price for Verizon's actions and the failed company as a result of their actions. And then there's investors. We pride ourselves on the family effect. My mom and dad tried to help us out, gave us almost $80,000 of their personal money to invest, because every time we got up and we got running, the work either got cut, or the rate got cut, or the insurance, the minimum insurance requirement was raised. Because of this, I am telling everybody I know, and that includes you, world, that Verizon Fios is definitely not the way to go, and somebody needs to make these people pay for what they've done. It's not just me, it's not just my wife, it's my wife's father. He went out of business as well. He already owned one company. He figured, why not have some more security and run 2? I worked for him, they went out of business. I worked for my wife, they went out of business. A friend of mine tried to do the same industry that I taught him myself, okay? And he is also out of business. There's just no possible way that working for Verizon through the valleys of the prime contractors, that you're ever going to make a living or ever going to make any type of money. They make you work illegally. They make you jump through hoops. You're responsible, you're liable, you're this, you're that. They basically turn the screws down on the little guy so tight that when his financial bubble pops, the contract is geared that Verizon can't even get in trouble for it. So this is why I'm here. If any attorney or if anybody hears this and thinks they can do something about it, please help me. Thank you very much for your patience and listening. Everybody try to have a good day.